Thank you for joining us on Downstairs and Dragons, where we play D&D in our basement as per tradition. This episode is meant to be a recap of Hisugi Heroes, episodes 1 through 7. Now, Hisugi Heroes was only meant to be 7 episodes. It was only meant to be a mini-story where we could explore an underwater campaign and underwater races. But it evolved, we went farther, we had more twists and turns. Unfortunately, the campaign never finished, so we're doing some recaps so you can prepare yourself for the epilogue videos I'm going to make, explaining where the story would have went and how it would have ended. Now, before I get into the recap, I do want to say that something special about recording our sessions is we can relive our cherished memories together with our friends, playing one of our favorite games. So keep in mind, when you're watching the episodes, I'm summarizing. The episodes themselves are going to have a lot more roleplay. There's going to be a lot more realism. There's going to be a lot more in-the-moment jokes that me reiterating them is not going to make them as funny as they were in the moment. So just keep that in mind. Also, rewatching the videos allows me to go back and see where I need to improve, and so I'm going to start by, I noticed that there's a lot of times where the players go to speak up, they don't quite get their voice heard, and when I go back and go, did you want to say something? They go, oh, no, that's okay. And I find myself yelling at the screen going, no, Samantha, let them talk, let them say it. So I'm sorry if you noticed that too. All these characters, all these players, the players have been wonderful. Wonderful to hang out with, wonderful actors, wonderful to play with. And so we want to thank them for all that they've done for the channel and for each other. Especially for Hisugi Heroes, because I feel it's my favorite on the channel so far. So, we're going to get into this haberdashed, put together recap. Hopefully you're okay with that. We're doing this on a little bit of a tight schedule, so. Okay, since it was started as a mini story, there's a lot of fighting in the first episodes. Now normally I try to space fighting out between a lot of roleplay. It gives... When you're recording D&D on camera, roleplay, it just kind of comes out better. There's more story, there's more for you to enjoy, there's more for you to watch. Now, if you enjoy the fighting, I'm so glad. If you don't enjoy the fighting, I totally understand, and that's why this recap is here. So our story begins in Heuse. It's been a couple months since I've been in the studio, so I have to find everything where it was. Okay. So this is Heuse. This is, wow, this was drawn a long time ago. So Heuse is, it's a sea, it's part of an ocean. Now if you go and you look up D&D's Karatur, it's a continent. On the east side is the Celestial Sea, and beyond the Celestial Sea is where Heuse is supposed to be located. We just kind of nestled it right in there. Now Heuse is specifically an ecosystem, a territory that is controlled by a Lune Wang. A Lune Wang, you can look those up too. Lune Wangs are a part of like a line of dragons. So there's chromatic dragons, metallic dragons, ferrous dragons, gem dragons. There's Lune dragons, which come from Karatur. Lune dragons are interesting because they kind of have this connection with the celestial beings, with the court of gods of Karatur, I think is the best way I can put it in layman's terms. So our Lune Wang, also called a dragon turtle, looks like a really big, cool dragon that's a turtle with a little bit more of a celestial feel to him. This dragon turtle, he is basically the emperor of this entire empire, of all of these cities, which we'll point out as we go into the different characters that come from the different cities. The first thing I should point out is the reason it's called Hisugi Heroes is his name is Hisugi, the dragon turtle's name is Hisugi, and he has chosen heroes to do his bidding. But he also has his capital city, Ryusui, which is the city of the Ryuka. Now, if you've probably heard of Dragonborn, that's a Wizards of the Coast dragon race. They're descended from dragons. But then there's the Dragonkin. It's a Kobold Press race. They're a little bit more dragon-like, a little bit more in touch with, I guess, the elements. You might interpret that a different way. That's fine with me. But they're a little bit closer to the dragon ancestry. So the Ryuka, which I'll bring up a picture here, the Ryuka genuinely are only a few generations under Hisugi's bloodline. They have definitely Hisugi's blood in them. So that's what makes them a little less humanoid than a dragonborn. Now, the Ryuka, it's their job to take care of Hisugi and take care of his matters and mediate things between all these cities and all these races. So I bring them up now because I wanted you to be aware of what they are as I bring them up in this recap. They're going to come in and out of the story for most of the beginning. So this city, Ryusui, starts the campaign. Ryusui, let's see, sorry, I'm also clicking and reading and doing all these things. Ryusui notices an aboleth enter the waters. Now, I highly recommend you go and look up information about aboleth if you haven't learned about it already. It's a classic D&D monster, really strong, intelligent, calculating enemy. They've been around since the beginning of D&D, kind of, and beginning of time in D&D lore. So this aboleth enters the water of Hali with an army of sea spawn. They're undead beings that have been turned into sea spawn. Kind of with like barnacles growing off them or coral or whatever you'd like to think. Just cool undead things mixed with underwater plant flora and fauna. So the Ryuka locked down their own city and sent designated scouts out to each of the surrounding cities in Hali. The point is to gather specific individuals from each city that are not only very, very strong, but because they are kind of individualistic, they can separate from their home, meet up with a group of assorted other people, work in a team to assist Hisugi. So, these heroes are collected, and it's kind of one by one, but what's interesting is we portray this in the first episode like it's all happening at once, but it's actually in the timeline, it's staggered. So we're going to talk about the first person that they retrieve. Yisk. Yisk you'll see down below in the yellow. Yisk is a level 10 Lokatha blood hunter whose patron is actually Hisugi. I was really excited about that because blood hunters can choose patrons. Let's see, isn't that? Yeah, okay. This is the city down here that Yisk is from. Lokatha are a race of fish people often taken advantage of or enslaved due to their pacifist nature. You can look at the god they worship and their culture, but they're usually pretty pacifistic. Very peaceful. So while they prefer peace, the protection of Hisugi is very welcome. It's very nice to have a giant dragon turtle, Lune, who governs the entire empire, because if there's a major threat, you have this huge ally on your side. So that's why so many of these cities have enlisted in the empire. So with the protection of Hisugi, some of the Lokatha citizens have started being raised as warriors, which is kind of rare, but Yisk is the strongest warrior of their home. He does what others won't. He sacrifices his innocence for fighting evil in the name of Hisugi. Now, his home city of Ianthos is a sunlit hilltop forested in kelp farms. The Lokatha are, what their job is in Hisugi's ecosystem is to keep the balance of plant life, to keep plant life growing healthily while also keeping it cut back. That's their job. Without going really into it, each one of these cities is going to have a different job that suits Hisugi and his goal of having a perfect ecosystem. So, anyway, back to the story. A scout comes to get Yisk. Yisk goes to go help Hisugi fight an aboleth, but right as he's about to leave Ianthos, the aboleth shows up to resurrect an old foe. It's an undead vampire squid, which sounds redundant because it was a vampire squid before Yisk killed it, but now it's resurrected, so it's still undead. Now, this needs to be taken care of immediately before Yisk can go on to meet up with his teammates and assist Hisugi. So we leave Yisk fighting the vampire squid while the aboleth moves on to the west. To Takeluine, it's a tricky tongue twister city name. Takeluine is where our next hero lives. Now, our next hero, here's Takeluine. If you notice that this is actually the east side and that's the west side, it's because their camera is mirrored, so sorry if you get confused. Takeluine is a city of Triton. Now, think of Triton as like the underwater humans. They have legs, but they're covered in hard scales. And they have a little less variety and personality than humans do. Of course, there's still exceptions. But they're a bit more... They have a tendency to value war and combat. They're a little bit more... warlike is the best way to put it. So their city is very efficient, and its people are very diligent. Takaluin benefits from Hali and Hisugi's protection, just like everyone else. But they still have an interest in creating their own soldiers. So, our hero, Kairos, you'll see him in the bottom right of the screen. He's our Triton. He's our Triton monk. Now, he does try to approach things peacefully, rationally, but ultimately, he still is a fighter, still very Triton-like. Yes, he expresses self-control and discipline, and he ultimately is a good guy, but we still have that combative nature to him, just in a different way. So our good guy Kairos, when he is retrieved to assist Hisugi, he also is confronted by the necromancer Aboleth, who brings back an old foe of Kairos's. I bet you'll see that there's a little bit of a trend here. So Kairos has to fight an undead mantis shrimp. Now, normally a mantis shrimp in real life is like 6 inches. If you've never heard of one, I recommend going and looking them up. They're really cool. We do have them here on Earth. They're just this big. I made a large variety. I took up 2 5x5 spaces, and it could punch really, really hard. So it was a really good enemy for a monk. We were really excited about that one. But Kairos is left fighting the mantis shrimp before he can help Hisugi and help the party. But the Aboleth, of course, leaves and moves on its way to the next location. So as you can see, this Aboleth, it's almost like, well, they're smart enough to plan things out. He's brought a military with him. He's gone to all these surrounding cities where he knows there's military, and he's slowed them down by resurrecting strong foes that could keep military from assisting Hisugi. So the Aboleth goes to the next location, which is north of Takaluin, and it's not even really a city. I call it the Nidarian Ridges. It's this really, really big, long coral reef that sprouts up between Hali and the Celestial Sea. This is where you find a race of creatures called the Cicalia. You could also call them octopus people, or because what they are is they're half octopus and they're half human looking. You can actually see our Cicalia. He's our hero, Takoyaki. He's on the bottom left. He was actually a bit more pink and purple, I believe, but that's the picture we have for him. Now, they live in a community. Think like farmland where your closest neighbor is a mile away. Each Cicalia has their territory where they forage for food or hunt or plant or farm, whatever they do. And most Cicalia are actually really, really reclusive, independent, not necessarily shy, but they're not interested in striking up a conversation. It's not that they're unfriendly, but they're not friendly either. Takoyaki is the exception. Serious exception. He's the opposite. He's our bard of the party. So, like most bards, he's loud and gesterous and has quite the imagination, which I think you would need to pull off a Cicalia because they have a lot of variety. Takoyaki is specifically a Cicalia that can change colors and change the shape of his body, fit through small spaces. And he is the strongest Cicalia, to everyone's dismay. So when big things come and knockin', Takoyaki has to be found, to the reluctancy of whoever has to go find him. So a scout does end up getting Takoyaki, gets ready to go leave to assist Hisugi. And of course, the Aboleth shows up, resurrects something to get in their way. This is a little bit more tricky of a resurrection, for Takoyaki anyway. What Takoyaki's opponent is a Ryuka. So his Ryuka scout, who came to get him, now sees this Ryuka undead enemy come out of the ground near Takoyaki's home. It's like, why is there a dead Ryuka by where you live? This ends up being the dead body of a missing Ryuka military official. He's been missing for some time now, and we now know why, because he's been dead outside of Takoyaki's house. So we'll get into that later. That's kind of like put a pin in that, because right now Takoyaki's just got to fight him and go, because we've got more pressing matters, but the scout's not going to forget about this. So we move again north. So this is still the Nidarian Ridges, still the coral reef that's a little closer to the surface, lots of sunlight so the corals can grow. Zial is this, I say it's a teeny tiny little city. It has a lot of people in it, but it's small because the people are small. This is Zial, the city of the water sprites. Each one is about a little less than a foot tall, I think. This is where our Prince Jonex Irecrest is from. A Prince of Zial. He's got all the magic that his kingdom could give him. He is up there at level 10 as a... Shoot, is he a warlock? He was a warlock. Jonex is headstrong, short-tempered, and proud. You will see that come up as he talks to people who make him unhappy. It's very quick. You notice right away he's not happy. But he's quite fun, which is Fae-like. Fae, they're quick to change their emotions, quick to be happy, quick to be upset. It was quite correct. So, we're very excited to have Jonex join, but of course, the Aboleth swoops in again and resurrects. What's funny is, this wouldn't necessarily be a big enemy to others, but to a city of water sprites. An eel, about a big 4-foot-long eel, bone skeleton, is resurrected. Now, this is still something that did a lot of damage to the city, and it's very upsetting to see again, so Jonex now has to take it out before he leaves, because he doesn't want this orca eel skeleton doing more damage. And I just realized I made the mistake of not showing you all of these monsters. So we're going to go back and do a recap. So right now, all the 4 players, they're technically all doing these things at different times, but it appears that they're fighting at the same time in separate areas. I was really proud of setting that up. For anyone who's interested in fights on D&D. So first we have Takoyaki fighting the Ryuka, which we have pictured there. Then we have Karos fighting the Mantis Shrimp. And then we have Jonex fighting the Orca Eel, which that's just a bone naga, but shh, it's fine. And we have Yisk fighting the Vampire Squid, which that's a real thing, but we made a really big version of it. And made it vampiric, added some cool vampire stuff to it. If you're interested in that, feel free to watch those first couple episodes. So that's all of the monsters at the beginning that they have to face. Once all those monsters are killed, spoiler alert, sorry, you knew this was a recap. Once all those monsters are killed, the Ryuka Scouts lead our party to meet up at a guard post to the northeast of Ryusui. Now, you might notice that there's a 5th player on screen. The 5th player actually isn't part of the first 7 episodes, so maybe I shouldn't have had that picture and that name there, but he comes in later, so we'll just leave that as a teaser. So our 4 party members, they go to the checkpoint to the northeast of Ryusui, the capital city. But there's supposed to be 7 people that were brought, not 4. There's 7 cities, 7 different races. We only have 4 people. What's going on? So they get there, they do their introductions, and then the 3 scouts who went to the 3 northern cities that we'll go into later. These 3 northern cities, these 3 scouts come and they meet up at this checkpoint here. They don't have their heroes with them. There's more going on. Of course, we're in the middle of a war. Let's just have more stuff happen. The Swahagin up here. Now, you feel free to look up Swahagin. They're known as shark people, green-scaled, shark-toothed, tribal peoples who worship the shark god. They're usually evil, but Hisugi has recruited this tribe to settle in Hali and abide by a treaty or by an agreement with the other cities in exchange for protection and territory. So the shark people, the Swahagin, are actually pretty happy here, we think, because they get to breed their sharks, they get to hunt, they get to do everything they need to do. Everything's been going great. Well, all of a sudden the Aboleth comes along and the Swahagin are now attacking both their neighboring cities, which is what is causing the 3 heroes to not show up at the checkpoint. What's worse is the scouts told the Swahagin that a bunch of heroes were meeting at this checkpoint, and now the Swahagin are coming to take the checkpoint. Whew, so, our heroes now have to prepare for another battle. Good thing is they get to rest for the night. Bad thing is they're not getting to Hisugi as early as they wanted, and now they have to have another fight before they get to Hisugi. So they spend that night setting up traps, getting to bed, and in the morning they handle the onslaught. And that's a really interesting episode because there's a whole maneuver where they have traps and they have to lure the Swahagin into the traps. But they did a pretty good job. So if you're interested in fighting, those are good episodes too. Now, they are able to save some health, save some magic, finish off the Swahagin, not kill all the sharks, which is why that episode's called Shark Rescue. They need to get to the capital, Ryusui, to help their Lord Hisugi, the Dragon Turtle Lune Wang. So they swim off with the scouts. They're listening to the scouts talk about what kind of dangers are ahead. Now, the reason these party members are needed, there is an army in Ryusui. They're taking care of the sea spawn on the ground. There are a few people in Ryusui who are helping Hisugi stay alive for the fight that's been going on since yesterday. But Hisugi, when they get there, they find that he is flanked by a sea dragon and one of his half-dragon offspring. We called it a plesiogon. It's a plesiosaur plus a dragon turtle, so it looks like a lapras, basically. But this vicious undead creature is helping to try and kill Hisugi. So Hisugi turns and he gets bit by whichever one he turns his back to, and it just keeps going back and forth. He's getting annihilated but being kept alive by his healers. So it's time for the party to intervene. It's time for our party to help fight off these two monstrous beasts. That's the word. So, episode 6, if you'd like to see them fight off a sea dragon and fight off a plesiogon, it's actually, it's pretty cool. We've got some near deaths, and we've got some really cool final blows, but our heroes are eventually able to assist Hisugi in killing those two foes. But where's the aboleth? Of course it's going to wait until Hisugi's battered and bruised. They're not that stupid. But something about aboleths is they actually can be kind of reckless sometimes. They'll let themselves die because they have a hive mind, and ultimately knowledge is gained from this experience. So even if this aboleth made a mistake and died, if his army wasn't enough, he still learned something. So the aboleth does show up in episode 7. Spoiler alert, Hisugi does defeat the aboleth with a little bit of help of our party members, any of the ones who still have some magic and some health. That episode 7, we all were really tired. We played all day, so you might notice the players a little tired. I was a little tired. I actually make a mistake in episode 7, so you get to kind of hear some backstory. Hisugi ends up totally annihilating the aboleth, ripping, I think, you know when you pull a head of a fish and its whole spine comes out? Sorry, that's gross. That's what we did to the aboleth. That wasn't supposed to happen. I forgot there was something else. So I ended up coming in and fixing it. But what was supposed to happen is Hisugi is fighting the aboleth, barely hanging on. And before Hisugi can make the final blow, a bronze dragon appears out of nowhere, because they can swim and shapeshift, makes the final blow on the aboleth, kills the aboleth, swallows it. But its gullet is so full. And you can hear the jingling of hoard and like gold and gems and whatever else could be in Hisugi's hoard inside the bronze dragon's stomach. The bronze dragon finishes its gulp, looks at Hisugi and goes, I'm taking your hoard as payment for me defeating the aboleth for you, and then gets the hell out of there. That's not what happened. What ended up happening is Hisugi beat the aboleth, and then the bronze dragon just showed up, had all the hoard in his stomach, and said, I'm taking this as payment for protecting your city, which he did not do, and then flew off. So, so with one victory comes a loss, and Hisugi is pissed, but tired, needs to heal. He's a dragon, but dragons still need to heal, and not die, and not go fight a fully grown adult dragon that's got all its health. No. So, this is where we end the mini-story. As Hisugi goes to rest, the city is cleared out and cleaned, the sea spawn are all taken care of, and now our party can either go home, or actually kind of not, because Hisugi is their boss, and Hisugi says, I have something for you to do. So this is where the story could have ended. We could have just ended here. But we left it open with 2 quests. Go kill the bronze dragon, bring Hisugi's hoard back, and the bronze dragon's hoard. Quest number 2, go figure out why the Swahagin attacked. It's probably because the aboleth influence them. Avalos have an ability to charm or to create illusions. This one was a necromancer, so he probably had lots of spells available to him. But we need to make sure that the relationship between the Swahagin and the rest of the cities are good. So that's where the story ends up going, is those two quests. So feel free to tune in to our other recap videos that are going to come up and our epilogue for Hisugi's Heroes. I do appreciate you guys tuning in to Downstairs and Dragons. Of course, if you have any questions, let us know. We'll try to answer them. If I missed anything, I'm happy to clarify. We're working on some new campaigns. So you should see those, well, you should see those come up soon. But there's a lot of prep work we have to do behind the scenes. So sorry for the hiatus, but I hope these videos keep you entertained. We'll see you next time downstairs.